Hello, everyone. I hope everybody is having a great day so far. Please let me know in the comments if you are able to hear me and see me well. Okay, so I'm just going to be waiting for a few more minutes until people join in, and then we can get ahead. All right. Fine. All right. All right. So it looks like they're able to hear me well. Just give me a thumbs up and or just comment in the chat window if you're able to hear me and see me well. I'm streaming in few different platforms, so it helps me to see if everybody in all the platforms is able to hear me and see me. Okay, so if you're able to do that, that would be perfect. Okay, a minute. All right, so it looks like you guys are able to see and hear. Perfect. Okay, thank you so much for joining today. Today is the second day of this demo. So I'll be working for the next 45 to 60 minutes. So if you have any questions, uh, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. And meanwhile, as I work on my demo, I'll be sharing my thought process and anything that could be helpful for your own artistic journey. All right. So I'm just going to briefly uh, talk about what I have done up to now. So yesterday we saw that I was talking about sharing your own vision and your story right from the very start as you work on your painting process. So as you do, you have to first take into consideration of what is it that excites you and what are those important things that you want to convey with your audience, right? So because they are here to see what you're showing them, right? So they are here to listen to your story and share your vision with them, right? So you have to be able to convey that effectively in your painting. So it's almost like storytelling. So you have all the elements. So you have your technical capabilities, you have your paints, and you have your brushwork. So all these three and four, they have to come together and give a harmonious relationship to uh, show what it is that you want to convey. Okay, so as I said, so as we are trying to block in and continue with our progress, we have to see from the very start what the important element that you need to start off with. Okay, so for me in this painting, it was all about how the light interacts with the landscape. And since this is an evening scene, I wanted to bring that sense of quietude within my painting. So once I grasp that concept, okay, this is what I'm doing, then it's much easier for me to focus only on those things that will help me with the painting, right? So since I want to get that sense of light interaction with the landscape and the sense of quietness and sense of serenity, so I'm trying more of a soft look for this painting. Hence, I'm just going to be having some strong colors in my sky, and I'm not going to be doing much work in the foreground. So all my attention is going to go towards my background. Okay. So yeah, and the other thing what I wanted to mention was since this is an evening scene, it helps to understand how the light interacts. So in the evening, most of the color is in the sky. Yes, it means most of the light is in the sky. So the foreground, even though it has some amount of light um, where it's reflecting off of its surface, it doesn't have that much color as much it has during the daytime, right? So you need to be very mindful as to how much saturation you have in your foreground in an evening or a sunrise painting. Okay, so most of the colors are going to be in your sky. So if you understand that, then it's much easy to work with it, because I've seen so many paintings of sunrise and sunset where they also make the foreground very colorful, and that starts to compete with the colors of the sky. Okay, so and you don't want that. So you want it to be more. Uh, your eye should be leading towards the area where the light is more, and that's towards the sky. So all your brushwork, if you have to do anything, all your brushwork, your uh, marks, just keep it to a place within the sky, so that the audience doesn't get confused um, amongst the landscape. Okay, all right. So what I'll be doing now is I'm just going to be minimizing this so that you have a brief, yeah, an overall image of the landscape. Perfect. Let's see if I can move it a bit so that you can see it clearly. So there. Okay, right. Perfect. Okay, so let's see. As a brush and on paper dots. Okay, so again, at this point, I'm not going to be going in any particular order. I know during the block-in, I started off with the foreground, completed that, and then moved on with the background and the sky. But in our case, since it's already done here, I'll just be moving on quickly with things that I don't need at the moment. Like for example, almost everything that I need here is done. So I'll just be um, like trying to finish off so that I don't have to come back there again. And then I'll just be finishing and spending a lot of time here on my sky and on the water. So the way I've designed this painting is I have uh, three layers. I have the foreground layer, I have the middle ground layer, which is the water and some part of the mountain, and then I have the background, which is the sky. So you can play with the number of layers you want to have within your painting. That completely depends on what it is that you're trying to show. But the lesser the layers, the more impact your painting will have. Okay, so less number of layers, high impact. If you just have two layers, you have the highest impact. If you have three layers, it starts to drop down, and four and five, it just starts going down and down and down. Okay, so usually I keep my paintings up to three layers, at the max four. I don't remember where I've gone up to four for a very long time, but three is something that I keep. But again, it depends on what you want to do and how you want to design your piece. Okay, so all this is a part of composition. Okay, so composition is not something where you draw grids and you draw the golden ratio and all that rule of thirds and all that stuff. Yes, that's important, but I find many beginner artists get hung up on those composition rules and they get swayed away. But the most important composition rule is to have the brushwork work for you. Okay, so people don't understand that brushwork and the light and the value, they're all part of composition. So you cannot isolate these elements and have composition something else altogether, right? Okay, so let me start up with this. And if you have any questions, please let me know and I'll be happy to answer any and all. So just give me a thumbs up or a comment just to make sure that you still are able to hear me well. Okay, so that would be very appreciative if you do that. Okay, so I'm just going to start off with this. right here. So I'm gonna keep it very soft. I have a very monochromatic, or it's not that dull, but it's still got that dull green going around here. So I'm just gonna play with that for some more time. Um, let's see. Again, whenever you're trying to mix the paint, just enjoy the process. You need to feel the paint as you mix it on your palette, because that's where most of them are not able to understand how important that is. You need to see how you're able to mix the paint effectively. Okay. Not able to see the colors because of the light it's reflecting. Just give me one moment. Okay, much better. So I'm gonna go with the darks first over here. So I'm just gonna finish up with my darks and then go with the lights. Just make your stroke and leave it. Don't go to play with it, or don't go to blend it or do anything, because that's when the painting starts to get more and more muddy. So if you see, most of the work was done yesterday. Like at this moment, I don't even have to use my reference image anymore, because I have all the information that I need from my painting itself. So you should arrive at a point in your painting where you try to get the information out of the painting as much as possible than your reference, because reference is just a helper and a guide to help you understand what are the elements that you need. Once you have all those elements, all you have to then do is use the information what you have on your canvas and try to improve upon that. You're not trying to replicate a scene, and you're not trying to copy a scene in any form or shape. You're trying to get your idea with the help of the reference image. Just let it flow. So since it's in the darks, I don't want too much attention right there. So I'm just gonna soften all the brushwork that I have going on here, so that the eye doesn't go there as much. Okay, so use that, get that green going in the trees. So this green right here is very subtle. It's not that bright, and it's got a very soft quality. It's almost brown. and I enjoy doing this kind of uh, color in the evening or in the morning light. It's just a very soft, uh, earthy green, as they call it. Works. Again, we are not trying to mix any colors beforehand because you're trying to get all the information from the canvas or from your painting. So if you pre-mix your colors, then you're not responding to what's happening at this moment. Okay, so which is a lot more important than like anything else. So you got to respond to what your canvas or what your painting is doing at every moment, and based on that, you need to make a judgment call on what the colors have to be. So people who premix paints, there's nothing. I'm not against that, but it's much more in the moment when you try to use fresh paint all the time. Just trying to get that color going on here. So time to get it right. All right, better. So if you notice, my dark and light here is very close. The range is very close because I want to keep it very soft. I don't want too much attention going on here. As you come out here, you have more higher value because you get more light from the sky. Uh, Light in the value as it comes out. Yeah, just make your marks and leave it there. Like from the video, I don't think you can see my strokes, but if you come close and see which are they doing at the end of the video, it's very abstract. It's just that when you step back, it looks a little bit more homogeneous. But if you come in and look at it, it's pretty abstract. Okay. All right. Now, I just want to get some light going on here so that with the help of the light, I can then do my darks in this case. So what I'll be doing here is trying to get some nice light. Meanwhile, let me know if you guys have any questions so that I'll be happy to answer. So the way I have it over here is even though this is the only place where it's a little bit more saturated than the rest of of than the foreground areas because you're leading the eye with the help of lights. Okay, so I wanted to come in and then go back into this forest right here. Again, as I was mentioning yesterday, if you're having any value changes within a plane, it's much better if you do a temperature change than a value change, because a value change also brings in the change in the depth of field, but the temperature change, even though it brings, but it still keeps it within the plane. Okay, so if you're able to get a handle on that, then it's much easy to work with temperature change and just play with it by just changing the U's rather than values. That's going. And make it a little bit more brighter around there. These notes, just few notes here and there, are what's going to bring your painting come to life. So just take your time and see where you want to place those notes. And you don't want a lot of it, just some part of it, so that you're able to get and convey that expression much better. Now I'll probably work on this bush here. So it's a very thin layer, and that's how I want to keep it. It's just that I'll be adding some notes so that it's not that dull in the dark as well. Let's see what this gives me. If not, probably change it. Adding some notes of darks. So you just have to play with your darks here and just keep it very subtle. You don't want too much attention going in the darker areas here. So just play with it. That is going to the back. Now, if you do that in, in that order, you don't have to come back here again. Besides just changing a few things here and there. Okay. Soften the here. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is work on the water line, and after that I'll be going to the sky. Um, Again, the water line is very simple. I don't want to complicate it uh, a lot. So I'm just gonna keep a nice even color, and just in the area where the it's gonna get some reflection from the sky, I'm just gonna use that color to reflect those values. Okay, so let me start off with the general blue what I have here, and then I'm going to subtly reduce the value. So I'm just using uh, titanium white, ultramarine blue, maple yellow. So maple yellow just changes the value, just changes a bit of the hue of the blue so that it's not too much saturated with ultramarine. So on top of this, I'll be laying some notes of yellow and orange. So just bear with me. Okay. Again, just try to make the entire process as fun for you as possible. Because if it's not fun for you, then whoever is viewing it may not enjoy it that much as well. Because people are able to read the vibe also within the artwork. So just have a positive attitude as you're working, and be confident that whatever you want to convey is going to be there. Okay. Sorry if there's much glare on the canvas. Try to reduce as much as I could by having different directions on how I was showing the video, but sorry if it's glare. Okay, I won't be adding much color now. If I need it, I'll probably add it later. Okay, because I'm not sure if I want to make this the area of interest at the moment. So you can use the background to bring detail of your foreground subject as well. I do that all the time. So any object has its relationship with its background, right? So you can use the background to bring the information out in the foreground. So now I'm going to go back to my blue as it wavers back to the ridge line. Darker. Make it extremely fun for you to even watch yourself paint, right? So that's when it becomes really interesting. And just try to enjoy as you mix the paint on the palette as well, because half the time, at least 50 to 60% of the time, you are more on palette than on canvas. So you are in a way painting on your palette as well, in a way, not technically, but you are. So just be very mindful of the time that you spend on palette as well. It's as much important as you putting it on the canvas. I'll be doing the detail of this later. So I'm not worried about anything that I'm gonna miss. Push going on here. Okay, so I have one question here. Okay, so what is the color of the water? So at this moment, I just have a basic uh, like low value blue, and I'm gonna get all that reflection from the sky fall on to the water. So around it, I have like it's a very desaturated blue because I want all the attention to go back to my sky, right? So that's what I have going on. And that blue is also going to get carried away with my sky as well. Not completely, but for most part of it. Okay, I can work on those sky looks later. This should do. Okay, so I just want to move up like that. So I'll just be working on this part as well. So again, it's a very soft and warm mountains because all the light it's coming from the sky. So regardless of what that mountain is, if it's a rock or if it's snowy or anything, it's just at that time of the day you have to be very careful how the light interacts with any object, because it's a very strong and saturated light coming in those times. So it in fact overpowers whatever the local color is of that landscape. So on top, I'm just going to be doing a bit warmer than at the bottom. Again, this is the very easiest part of the painting process because most of the work was done yesterday during the blocking. So take more time in your blocking that the next part of the process gets easier for you. So at the bottom, so at this moment, I might just slightly lengthen the tree line here just so that it breaks the surface of those mountains. but I can do that at the end as well. But that's what's going on in my mind right now. Um, take your time. Right. Okay. So I have another question. Which brushes am I using? So at this moment, I'm just using Rosemary's. In fact, I've just been using Rosemary Classics for this entire painting because most of the painting here is very soft and subtle. So uh, ivories is something where I use if I have to get a bit more harder edges. I mean, it's possible with your classics as well, but I like the feel of the ivories if I have to make a hard edge because it's able to lay the paint much more easily than the classic. It's a very soft, fun for you to look at. Okay, so now the most important part is the sky, which I'll be working on now. So let's see how this is going. So I'm recording for my students as well, so that's another thing. Okay, so firstly, I'll be working on the background here, just like I did for the water. So I first finish the water, the sky, and then come towards the most colorful part of the sky. Okay, so now I'll be working on from the back of the sky to the front. Again, it's not a rule. I don't like. In fact, when I'm doing it, if I'm not coding and stuff, I just like to work on the entire canvas as a whole. Uh, it's just for the sake of demonstration that I have broken it down into foreground and background. But usually I try to work the entire canvas as one because everything is in relationship. So you cannot isolate one plane with the other. So, and it also helps you to grasp the idea of abstraction more and just to get that sense of how harmonious between everything, like between the planes, between the colors. So that's the most important part of color harmony as well. Most of the times, I see people just studying color harmony with different colors and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it really is about relationships, and the more in tune you are with your value relationships, your color relationships, your light relationships, all those things brings in the color harmony. So it's not something that you can isolate and study. And hence, that's the reason I like to work on the entire canvas as one so that my brain is able to understand which part of the canvas the harmony is lost. Right? So, all right, enough of that talk. On how are we doing on time? Okay, We have 20 more minutes, plenty of time. Too much, it's too dark. Tone it down. And just be very, blue is a very, as I say, it attracts colors more than any other color. I mean, as far as I've seen, especially in the sky. So if you have a sky going on and if you have different colors, just make sure you're not picking those colors up and going up, because then your whole sky will turn into that color very soon and very fast. So just make sure that you are mindful of the colors as you go around the canvas in the areas of blue. Let me know if you guys have any. I'll be happy to answer. Just make your sky holes a bit darker in value than the sky around it, so that it gives a much more uh, sense of, mm, like, it gives a much more sense of integrity between the foreground and the background. Uh, Sometimes when you go with the exact color of the sky, it just feels a little bit more unnatural. So if you want to make it look natural, just go a bit, just one value lower than the value of the sky. So much easier to convey. Softening the edges as I go. Okay, so now I've got that most of the part done. Now I would like to proceed with sky here. Have, so for my um, yellow, I'm using CAD yellow light, maybe, yeah, CAD yellow light. And for the warm color, I'm using cadmium yellow medium. So I've been using CAD yellow medium for a very long time now. And again, the color palette is something very personal. I didn't have this uh, throughout my art journey. So I've been trying to explore, and over the years, many colors have, like, been introduced. Some of them have gone out. I used to use neutral gray before, but I don't use any grays or blacks now. I mix all my grays and blacks. Um, So yeah, so that's the reason when some of you ask me what colors I'm mixing, it's not that really important because you have to pick your own colors, what's suited for your vision. No matter what's out there in the reference or from life, you have the ability to choose colors. So based on that, you are able to study the color relationships for that's suited for you, right? So that's why even within my academy, where for my students, I do talk about color mixing, but it's more in terms of uh, universal language as to what they can do to make it better versus how to match that exact color. Okay, because that defeats the entire purpose of discovering your own voice because you're not trying to match the exact color of the sky or of anything. Okay, so let's see, tone it down a little bit more. So right now I'm using titanium white, a bit of yellow ochre, and cad yellow medium. So just enjoy as just try to get that feeling of what it is that you want to convey in your work because your brain automatically starts to think in that direction and it will give you guidance as to what colors you have to use and what values you have to choose, where edges you have to soften. So you have to be talking with yourself uh, and you need to be open to your instincts to guide you um, more than like just a technical jargon, right? So just have to be open, and the more instinctive you are, the more, much better it is for you to pick up subtleties and express much more expressively. A little bit dark here, that bit more saturation going. Again, the other day somebody was asking me about the impasto. Impasto is very critical, and again, it's not as if you're trying to dump your entire uh, tube of paint onto the canvas, but you are making interesting strokes in the areas which are important. So you need to, as long as your strokes are visible, that's all the impasto you need. And impasto also helps to break the surface so that it brings in more dimensionality to your painting. So just again, doing a little bit more warmer as it goes down there, and then we're done. questions so far, please let me know. Right. Okay. I'm gonna get some more highlight going on here. Just a bit, not much. Okay, just take your time. Don't be in a rush to do this. Have to do some. Okay, just to bring the light across. So the very last part, as I was mentioning earlier, I want to bring this tree line just on the top of it. So I'm just going to be doing it right now. A little bit more darker value right there. So just a little bit of darker value in the center here, and as it goes back, trying to move it. Get some lighter color here. Since the light is able to get in, so you just have to be a little careful on the edges there because light seems to curve on the edge, and hence it becomes slightly more higher in value. Um, just be a little mindful and don't make it completely dark. And again, even if you do, that's fine because you can always go back and change it. Right. Just have that going there and slightly more. Okay, I think that's about it. I don't want to do as much more right here. So, yeah, so as you can see, I basically had everything mapped out in my blocking layer itself. So all I had to do now was just add more paint as I went about it. Um, and that's all you really have to do if you have a very strong vision right from the start, because everything that you wanted to convey happened in your initial stage itself. Just adding some trees. Now lightening up as a highlight. Just some notes here and there. So just few details is all you need to bring your painting to life. You don't need a lot. Probably I'll call it right there. I don't want to do more than required at this point. Want to add more details, you can just add in just few things here and there, just so that harmonious with whatever you wanted to convey. And yeah, just probably call it right there. And so this is how I usually go about it. Um, Again, just to give you a brief explanation on what I did yesterday and today was yesterday, I did a block in and try to share how important it is to convey your story right from the start. And as you're doing that, it's much important to pick the most important elements first and try to get that out of the way. And once you have that in place, then you can use the helping elements around it to support the most important elements. Then in day two, today, we just, with whatever foundation we had built yesterday, we just added more layers, more uh, interesting points like strokes, like in the important areas. So you have a lot of impasto going on in the areas of light. And yeah, so from there, now you're able to see all the eye goes to the focal point, which is my sky, and all these other helpers around here. I might probably just soften the sky a bit more here because I can see some hard edges there. But besides that, I'm just going to keep everything as is. So yeah, that's about it. So I'll be probably doing another demo just in a couple days time. Meanwhile, I have a free uh, course on brushwork mastery. So if you haven't seen that, just it's in the link in my Facebook profile, or just hit a comment below. I'll be able to share that with you. And if you want personal guidance to level up your oil painting skills and to discover your own unique voice, please uh, let me know. I have a course which is a complete uh, curriculum, even if you're just starting out to discover your own voice and create paintings with impact. We've had some amazing success within the academy so far. I'll be more than happy to have you in. Please let me know if that's something you want, and I'll make sure I have you on path of success in your artistic journey as well. All right, that's about it for the day. Just keep your eye on the email. I'll be sending you the finished painting as I'm done. Thank you for watching, and I wish you a happy Tuesday and the rest of the week. All right, see you. Bye bye.